Hi, I'm Cody with Turf Equipment and Irrigation. Today we're going to learn how to test a 2-lead switch, or a ball switch, or a seat switch, or something along those lines. Most equipment has them. They look like this, or this. Today we will be working with a common DVOM, that's a digital volt ohm meter. We will be doing a resistance reading, that's our ohms right there. It's got the omega emblem on there. This right here says open loop or infinite loop depending on your tool. This is a resistance reading. This is an infinite amount of resistance, which will not work in a circuit. So, if I hold my two leads together, you have zero resistance. Basically, this is almost a perfect connection. There is an internal resistance built into most multimeters. So right there you have a good connection, and right there you have a bad connection. Alright, this is a 2-lead switch. This is a basic seat switch here. There's 1 lead, 2. Basically 2 leads is 2 wires going to it. So we are going to test this with our ohm meter. I'm going to go ahead and set it to ohms. And I like to use these alligator clip jumper wires because they're just so much easier. Now, seeing as how this is a 2-lead switch, it doesn't matter which one's positive and which one's negative on the switch itself. Let's see here. So right now, we're showing an infinite amount of resistance. This is a bad connection right here. This is how the switch works. When you're out of the seat, electricity will not go through it. But when you're sitting in the seat, you get a good reading of low resistance, probably 0.1, 0.2, maybe 0.0. Now, that right there is a good switch. And you can go ahead and do it a couple times. Now it should be infinite. Now we should have a reading, infinite, reading. If this reading was all over the place, or up in the like 150, 200 something, you have too much resistance and it will not work. This right here is a ball switch. It is still 2 leads. There's 2 wires going to the ball switch itself. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do a resistance reading with our ohms on our multimeter. Once again, I'm going back to my jumper wires with the alligator clips because I'm that guy. Now we should still show an open loop or infinite resistance. All we have to do is actuate the ball on this thing and it should go down to 0.1, 0.2, somewhere around there. This is a good switch, and you can also challenge it. Should be open loop right now. Go ahead and push down the plunger again and it should give you a good reading. Bad, good. Once again, if these readings were all over the place, these would be a bad switch. Now you will find these on hydraulic manifolds, transmissions, all that kind of stuff. Backlapping valves on lawnmowers. It's really handy to be able to test these. This right here is a good switch and will be going back into use. Alright, this right here is a 2-lead switch as well. The difference between this switch and the other switches we just tested is this is a normally closed switch. That means electricity will go through this unless it's actuated. And you do the same kind of test here. We're going to get our jumper wires with our alligator clips. I'm going to hook up to one terminal there, and I'm going to hook the other one up to the other terminal here. And now you should see a reading here. We're looking at 0.1. That's a very minor resistance. Now, when we actuate the plunger here, it should go to open loop or infinite. That right there is a correct working switch, as long as it comes back to a good reading, which would be 0.1, somewhere around there. Now, for this particular guy, this switch would be used more along the lines of like a neutral switch. As long as the pedal's in the middle position, neutral, the traction lever I should say, electricity can go through it, the controller reads that you're neutral, you're good to go. If your traction lever's all the way in one direction, Electricity will not go through it, and you're in bad shape at that point in time. A good way to test these real quick on the spot is to just grab your alligator clip here, undo these terminals, and hook them together on the wire harness side of the machine. You can do that with all of these switches here, but do not do that for actual use because that is a safety interlock system and you do not want to bypass your safeties.